Hi, my name is James Shepard, and today I want to share with you the mark of a great opening pitch when you're selling merchant services. So, you're going into a business, a small business, walking in, or you're on the phone, and you're trying to come up with a great opening pitch. What do you say when you first meet the merchant, right? And so how can you tell if you're having success with the opening pitch? Well, one thing I've really come up with lately is I've been working with agents in our 6-week Jumpstart program and trying to help them with their pitch, trying to help improve it. I've come up with an interesting metric that I use with their opening pitch, and that is how many times or what percentage of the time do people ask you a question after you finish your opening statement, okay? How many times does the prospect, what percentage of the time does the prospect ask you a question following your opening statement? And you should really be getting a good 30 to 50% of people after your opening to ask you a question. Let me give you an example of a couple opening pitches that I've been talking to salespeople about and things lately. So let's say that we're selling cash discounting, for instance. And so one agent I know uses a pitch similar to this where he goes in and says, hey, I know you get, all kinds of people coming in here pitching you merchant services. And so there's always that constant barrage. And the reason I'm here today is not to talk to you about any traditional processing or anything like that. But the reason I'm here today to talk to you is I have a program that's $89 a month. There are no transaction fees. There's no percentage fees, no other monthly fees. There's nothing. It's an $89 a month program. So whatever you're paying in credit card processing fees right now, it would just be $89. And then he just stops. So it's very important what you do at the end of that, okay? You could add something onto the end of that opening pitch and really ruin it by saying something like, is that something you're interested in? Well, then you're asking them for a response. You don't want a response. You want a question at the end of your opening pitch, okay? And so if you can get a good question at the end of it, that's a great opening pitch. So by just stopping there, what is the merchant going to say? Well, they're going to probably say something like, well, how do you do that, right? That's a really good opening pitch because you're getting that question at the end of it. So that's really, really powerful, okay? Let's say that you're selling traditional processing and you're talking to maybe a larger merchant or multiple location merchant. And you would go in there and say, I'd introduce myself. Hi, my name is James Shepard. And the reason I stopped by today is that I'm a consultant. And what I try to do is I try to help people reduce or even cut potentially 20, 30% off of one of the largest income or one of the largest expenses on their profit and loss statement, on their income statement. And you just stop right there. And so when you say that, what is the prospect going to say? They're going to say, which one? The agent I talked to, I didn't come up with that one. That was actually an agent came up with that and shared it with me yesterday. And he's using that pitch and he's getting a lot of people to say which one. He said sometimes they'll even joke with him a little bit and say, well, yeah, how about my payroll? Can you reduce that one by 50%, or whatever, and kind of joke about it. And so then they ask, well, which one are you talking about? And then he goes into, well, I'm sure you've noticed on your statement how big your payment processing fee is relative to even your rent. I mean, a lot of people pay more process credit card payments than they do for their rent. And so my goal as a consultant is just to kind of review that and see if there's something we can do, and the rest of the spiel. So think about that. Now, there definitely are other opening pitches that you can utilize. I used an opening pitch for years that got a controlled response. It didn't actually get a question at the end of it. And so for years, I used an opening pitch where, my question at the end of it was about their processor. And so I would say, do you know who you're currently processing with? And so no matter what they said, I already have my response prepared for that. But what I've noticed is that over the years, as the market's gotten a little bit tougher to sell in, you actually don't want to put all your cards out on the table in your opening pitch. A lot of times you want to make that opening statement without ever even mentioning merchant services, without ever mentioning credit card processing, especially if you're in one of these metropolitan areas. You're in Dallas, Texas, or New York City, San Francisco, LA, that kind of thing. You don't really want your opening pitch to be all about merchant services because you're going to get to the end of the opening pitch and they're going to say, I'm not interested, get out of here. So instead of a response, try to restructure your opening so that it elicits a question. And the reason that's so important is because when a prospect is asking you a question, there are two things about that are really important. Number one, asking someone a question means that you expect them to give you a reply, okay? If you're doing your opening pitch and somebody says, I'm not interested, they don't want you to say anything else. What they want you to say is, okay, have a nice day, right? So you're really going against the grain to continue the conversation. When someone asks you a question and says, well, how do you do that? Or, well, what do you mean? Which expense item is it? they're expecting a response. And so now you have another chance to say something. And so if you can kind of keep that process going where the prospect and you are engaged in a back and forth conversation, it's really going to help you out a lot. So my challenge to you today is really, really simple. Think about your opening pitch, okay? And when I say your opening pitch, I realize there's usually a little bit of small talk when you first walk in or on the phone. But once you start talking about what you're selling and you get done with that opening statement, that 15 to 30 second, maybe 45 second pitch that you have or presentation you have, and then you get to the end of that statement and you stop and the merchant has a chance to respond, see if you can come up with a pitch that's going to get them at that moment to, instead of giving you a yes or no response or some kind of a response, to instead give you a question to allow you to continue the conversation. So try that out. I really think it'll help you. Again, my name is James Shepard. Thanks for watching and listening.